Location of Ezekiel's temple. Through Ezekiel's temple, God showed the vision of the land for the 12 tribes and the allotment to be set apart to the Lord. Remember, they're taken away, and the land is resting, is taking its Sabbath, right? And then once they return, this is how it should be. But so God, this foreshadows God's kingdom to be restored and the future inheritance of the saints. Ezekiel 48 verses 1 through 7 is about allotment from the north of the land. Please do the readings on your own, because we are not going to do, it would be much easier, or it would help more if we read through these chapters, but we don't have time for that. Ezekiel chapter 48 verses 8 through 22 is about allotment from the center of the land. Ezekiel 48 23 through 29 is about allotment from the south of the land. So portions for the 12 tribes. 7 tribes receive their portions from the north of the holy allotment. Ezekiel 48, 1 through 7. Okay. And 5 tribes receive their portions from the south of the holy allotment. And that holy is misspelled. It's not holly. The word lot is nahala in Hebrew, meaning inheritance, possession, or heritage. And portions is mahalekot, meaning share or division. The redemptive administration in the portions of the 12 tribes, all portions are divided equally. This is on the earthly level, it's almost impossible. Okay. Ezekiel 47 verse 14, you shall divide it for an inheritance, each one equally with the other. For I swore to give it to your forefathers, and this land shall fall to you as an inheritance. Each one equally with the other. Ish ke'ahiu. The portions are divided equally among them, since they are all brethren. Ezekiel 47 verse 14 in NLT version, New Living Translation. Otherwise, each tribe will receive an equal share. I took a solemn oath and swore that I would give this land to your ancestors, and it will now come to you as your possession. I believe that God will equally bless each and every one of us. Although we might say it's not fair, or somebody has, don't you hate it when you see a guy or a girl that's tall, handsome, smart, and rich? I hate it. and full of hair. when I don't have any of those. Yeah, I say, God, it's so not fair. But in heaven, whether we are, right now we might have different situations, different kind of sickness. Some people go home to heaven earlier than others. But in heaven, somehow we will come to understand the equality of His blessings, and so I believe we can have hope, even. I don't know. It's, please forgive me, Brother Jason. I was in prayer because we invited Dean Philip to our church to share a word, share a message, and speak on Sunday, Lord's Day service. And he shared about our brother Jason, and it really, and when I came and last in March saw him, my heart was broken. Although I tried not to show it, and I really, it just came out naturally. God, it's not fair. It's not fair. Would I be sitting in this class if I were in his situation? God, why? Huh? What about the family, the kids? But somehow I cannot explain. But the Lord, I believe the Lord has a purpose, and He has the same equal blessings, and there will be greater blessings for Him to balance it out. Amen. And so I know it's just, it might sound like a cliche thing that every pastor says, but let us really pray and believe that not only for our brother Jason, but for a lot of people around us that are going through. In our church, there are people who have this sickness where cancer keeps on recurring. It's not the same cancer that recurs. Once the ovary cancer is healed through several sets of chemotherapy and radiation, their body just generates cancer in some other place. And it continues on. Right? We say, God, why? Cannot explain. Why? But in heaven, in Ezekiel's temple, this will be explained. And I believe our life on this earth, this few years or 70, 80 years, is only a small little portion of the long eternity. And in that eternity, we don't know what God has prepared for us. And I believe we are living this life as an investment for that eternity. And so this will be short. This is short, very short. You ask a 90-year-old grandma, grandpa, how long has your life been? They're going to say, it's been very short. It flies by. They say your life flies by 60 kilometers per hour when you're in the 60s, 70 kilometers per hour in the 70s, and so on, right? Life goes by really fast. And so let us look for the time of eternity, and let us not think that is an ambiguous time or, cloudy time period. That is more real than this one. That eternal time that we will spend with the Lord is more real, more practical, more exciting than the one that we are living right now. Please take my apologies for putting you on the spot, but let us really, really pray together. So this shows the blessings of the firstborn also. Thus says the Lord God, this shall be the boundary by which you shall divide the land for an inheritance among the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have 2 portions. Ezekiel 48, verse 5 and 6. Beside the border of Manasseh, from the east side to the west side, Ephraim, 1 portion. Beside the border of Ephraim, from the east side to the west side, Reuben, 1 portion. So everybody gets 1 portion. But remember, Jacob made 2 sons of Joseph into his sons. And therefore, Manasseh and Ephraim became tribes. And they're both tribes from Joseph. And so therefore, Ephraim gets 1, Manasseh gets 1. That's 2 portions for Joseph. And 1 Chronicles chapter 5 tells us, spiritually, Joseph is the firstborn that God considers. So firstborn gets double portion. First, who's the firstborn? The one that inherits the covenant of God. The one that keeps that faith. And I believe that I pray that all of you will become the firstborn in the eyes of God. Now your 2 sons, this is Genesis 48, verse 5. I just explained. We won't read it. Deuteronomy 21, verse 17 also. But he shall acknowledge the firstborn, the son of the unloved, by giving him a double portion of all that he has. Okay, the firstborn receives the double portion. Portions are given to the Gentiles also. Okay. And for there is no distinction between Jew and Greek, for the same Lord is Lord of all. abounding in riches for all who call on him. Colossians 3:11, the inheritance of God's kingdom surpasses blood lineage and race, surpasses anything that we use to judge people with. The eastern regions of the Jordan was excluded from the portions. This was because east of the Jordan was not God's promised land. There are people in entering into Canaan, the tribes that half tribe of Manasseh and another tribe that stayed east of Jordan, outside of the Canaan, because to their eyes it seemed more flourishing, it seemed more abundant, and so physical conditions that seems better attracted them, but God says, but you're not in my land. We need to ask ourselves, are we inside of God's borders or outside? Numbers 32 verse 2, the sons of Gad and the sons of Reuben came and spoke to Moses and to Eleazar the priest and the leaders of the congregation, saying, they said, if we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servant as a possession. Do not take us across the Jordan. But Moses said to the sons of Gad and to the sons of Reuben, shall your brothers go to war while you yourself sit there? Now, why are you discouraging the sons of Israel from crossing over into the land which the Lord has given them? So it's not only the physical conditions of the land, but they were trying to avoid going into war. They're like, we don't want to fight. We just stay outside. But God's command was go in and oust all the Canaanites. Sometimes we have a tendency to be complacent and just kind of stay away from trouble. But if that trouble is, going out to evangelize, we're like, God, it's okay. We can just stay small as a small church. We don't want to expand too much. It's too much trouble. Okay? That's what Gad and Reuben were pretty much saying. Two tribes belonging to the southern kingdom of Judah, Judah and Benjamin tribes, possess the land above and below the holy allotment. 2 Chronicles 11:12. Southern kingdom of Judah inherited the covenant of God. This shows that the people who inherit the covenant and hold onto it can come near the sanctuary. Okay? They're the ones that are placed closer to the sanctuary. So overview of the allotment to be set apart to the Lord. 25,000 cubits in width, and the length is from the east side to the west side. Just write it down. I'll explain it. I'll show it on the map. Okay, Ezekiel 48 verse 8 and 48 verse 20. The whole allotment shall be 25,000 by 25,000 cubits. You shall set apart the holy allotment, a square, with the property of the city. Okay, so this is the map, okay, of Israel. Okay, and to the north, 7 tribes. To the south, 5 tribes, right? East of Jordan is this area, east of Jordan. That's not part of Israel. And he says, set out, basically consecrate this portion of the land, okay, from the east to the west. See this portion, shaded portion? This portion, set it apart, save it, okay? And that portion, remember that portion, that shaded portion, that part? Okay? This part, in the middle of it is a square, 25,000 by 25,000. Okay? That square amplified is this square. Okay? You get it? You understand? So once again, this all of Israel, and that portion, okay, this length is 25,000 cubits. Okay, from all the way from west to east, all the way, set it apart. Okay, and there will be 25 by 25 square. Okay, we just read 48:20. Let's read verse 40, chapter 48, verse 8. And beside the border of Judah, from the east side to the west side, shall be the allotment which you shall set apart, 25,000 cubits in width and in length, like one of the portions from east side to west side, and the sanctuary shall be in the middle of it. Okay, and the whole allotment shall be 25,000 by 25,000 cubits. You shall set apart the holy allotment, a square, with the property of the city. So here, it gives 25 in width, okay, in this width, but it says the length will be from all the way to the east to the west, okay. So the entire belt is set apart, okay, and in it, in the middle of it, will be a square, okay, 25,000 by 25,000 cubits, and that square is this square. Okay, amplified. Do you understand? Okay. Here's how you understand this map here. Okay, so this square is a magnified version of this square here, right? This square is a magnified version of this square. Okay, and in this square, there's a little dot inside, right? That is the temple. That is Ezekiel's temple in here. Okay? So there's a big 25,000 by 25,000 squares set apart for the holy allotment, right? And then inside of it is the outer walls, outer boundary and then there inside of that is the walls of the temple that we talked about earlier. Okay. And then what is this? You see, there's another thing here, right? This is this explanation of this. Okay. Okay. We will continue on to think about that. So 10,000 cubits, the portion for the priests. It continues on to talk about the portion of the different portions. See here, this one. This square is divided into 3 portions. 1, 2, 3. Okay. The middle one is the land of the priests, portion of the priests. The top one, on the north side, is the portion for the Levites, and the bottom one is the holy city. Okay, and the temple is in the middle of the land for the priests. So this is like the holy, most holy place. Where the Levites are is the holy place, and this is a common for the common people, like the courtyard. Okay. Imagine trying to figure this out just by reading the Bible. Even with the map, it's difficult to understand. Not responding. 10,000 cubits in width and 25,000 cubits in length. Okay? Oh, oops, for the priests. It's the same size for the land of the Levites. Okay, for the priests, 10,000 cubits in width and 25,000 cubits in length. 1 cubit is 53.2 centimeters, and therefore 0.532 meters long. This is 1 long cubit, Ezekiel's cubit. Therefore, 25,000 cubits are 13,300 meters, about 1.3 kilometers. And 10,000 cubits, 5,320 meters, so 5.3 kilometers. So Ezekiel 48 verses 9 through 10, the allotment you shall set apart to the Lord shall be 25,000 cubits in length and 10,000 in width. The holy allotment shall be for these, namely for the priests toward the north, 25,000 cubits in length, toward the west, 10,000 in width, toward the east, 10,000 in width, and toward the south, 25,000 in length. And the sanctuary of the Lord shall be in its midst. Okay? So once again, it's repeating itself. It'll be 25,000 on the north, 25,000 on the south, 10,000 on the west, and 10,000 on the east. In the midst of it will be the temple. Since the sanctuary is placed in the center, portion for the priests are also in the center. Okay. Ezekiel 45 verse 3, from this area you shall measure a length of 25,000 cubits and a width of 10,000 cubits, and in it shall be the sanctuary, the most holy place. The sanctuary is 500 cubits all around and has 50 cubits for its open space roundabout. Okay, so see this square in the middle is for the sanctuary, right? And then that's the magnified version is here, okay? And this, the temple is, this is not the temple, okay? This is the temple. And I don't know if you can see this, but the length is 500 cubits, width 500 cubits, and around it are 50 cubits of land, of space. Okay, 50 cubits in width. Out of this there shall be for the holy place a square around about 500 by 500 cubits, and 50 cubits for its open space round about. It is the most holy place by the border of the Levites. According to Ezekiel 48 verse 12, it shall be an allotment to them from the allotment of the land, most holy place by the border of the Levites. Okay, so by the border of the Levites, this portion, land of the priests, is the most holy place. Now, portion for the Levites, same thing, 25,000 cubits in length, 10,000 cubits in width, and they built 20 cities. Okay. Ezekiel 45 verse 5, an area 25,000 cubits in length and 10,000 cubits in width shall be for the Levites, the ministers of the house, and for their possession, cities to dwell in it, and to dwell in. City possession, 5,000 cubits wide and 25,000 cubits long. So coming back to this map, see how these two, the land of the Levites and the land of the priests, are the same size, right? 10,000 cubits in width. But this one, the bottom one, is narrower. That's 5,000 cubits. So together, it's 25,000 cubits. to make it a square. And so this is the city possession. Okay? What's city possession? You shall give the city possession of an area 5,000 cubits wide and 25,000 cubits long, alongside the allotment of the holy portion. It shall be for the whole house of Israel. There is a city in the midst, and it has open spaces. The city is 4,500 cubits, all sides, and its open space is 250 cubits on all sides. So it would look like 4,500, but with open space, this will be 250 on both sides. 250. That would make it 500, right? So altogether, this is 5,000. So here, 4,500 cubits, but it has that edge open space of 250 on both sides, on all four sides. So it's border to border, 5,000 cubits, border to border. And this is a city. Please don't die on me here. Bear with me, okay? Open space is 250 cubits on all sides, and here is the Bible verse. It does say 4,500 cubits, and then 250 cubits on all four sides. Here it is, okay? So, before this, I thought the holy city is where the temple was. No. The city is where the people live. The temple is where God is, right? But the blessed people are living right adjacent to the temple. So this is the land of the priests, land of the Levites. You and I will live here, the holy city. The name of each tribe is written on all sides of the city. Okay. 3 gates toward the north, Reuben, Judah, Levi. 3 gates toward the south, Simeon, Issachar, and Zebulun. 3 gates toward the east, Joseph, Benjamin, and Dan. 3 gates toward the west, Gad, Asher, and Naphtali. Okay. Yeah. North, south, east, and west. Okay, this is the Bible verse for that. Okay. And so where are these names written? On all 4 sides of the city. Different gates. Okay? I keep on hearing myself. Why study this? I think it might be your voice coming into me. I think you and I are pretty much on the same level. But it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. Even if we don't understand, I think it's worth at least going through once. Just go through once. And one day. Yes. No problem. Yeah. 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 That's what we need to figure out, right? Yeah. I cannot say this is literally what it will look like and the measurements, but I believe there will be something that we can glean out of this, and it is definitely different measurements from the New Jerusalem also. So which one is the real one? Which one is the right one? This is a message. This is you have to become, I don't know, you have to become Sherlock Holmeses of the Bible and figure out these codes. But we cannot do that. I don't want to be allegorical and apply all these numbers to different meanings on my own. So some of the applications you will see tomorrow. But why the measurements? Why? That was the third lecture for today. Why the measurements? Well, we cannot do that. So maybe tomorrow, or you have your notes. But let's say you have purchased or you have an inheritance of a big mansion in Sentosa. Just thinking about it makes you smile. It's bigger than you think, right? You can imagine, and you didn't know about it. And all of a sudden, in the midst of this chaos, you find a little letter that was written by your mom or dad that went to heaven, and it says, "This is an allotment for you. This is an inheritance that we never told you about. It's under your name." What would you do? But it will be released. It's not ready to move in. It's under your name. It's yours, but you'll be able to move in about 10 years. What would you do for those 10 years? Would you not know how many square feet, how big, how many doors, how many rooms there are? Would you not want to find out about every detail about that mansion? No? What do you think? And so I believe the Ezekiel's temple or New Jerusalem, God is telling us this is where you're going to live. Of course, heaven is a spiritual place. It cannot be this exactly what it looks like here. But then there is something God is trying to deliver, a message God is trying to deliver to us. And if it's not so important, he would not spend 9 chapters in Ezekiel to describe every detail. Why spend those pages? Why waste these numbers and all this time and pages and effort to deliver it to us? The problem is we are not smart enough spiritually to understand every message here. But what Reverend Abraham Park, the author, is trying to do, and what we are trying to do, is to come to understand. This is something very important. It's like you found a box of treasure with a very complicated coded lock on it. But you have to get that thing inside of that box. How long will you spend in trying to figure that code out? The produce from the land, 10,000 cubits toward the east, and 10,000 cubits toward the west of the holy allotment, is food for the workers of the city. Okay. The land for the prince, it is on the one side and on the other of the holy allotment. Okay. So the holy allotment is this, right? One side and the other. This is the land of the prince. Okay, area belonging to the land of the prince. The shaded area. The prince shall have land on either side of the holy allotment and the property of the city adjacent to the holy allotment and the property of the city on the west side toward the west and on the east side toward the east and in length comparable to one of the portions from the west border to the east border. So basically the shaded area. It is between the border of Judah and Benjamin. Okay. So this is Benjamin, and this is Judah. So between the border of Benjamin and Judah, all the way to the west and all the way to the east. On the sides, on both sides of the holy allotment. No, it's a holy allotment. Okay? But those who are to live in the holy allotment, I pray that we will qualify to live in the holy allotment. How? You have to be holy. Even when it says commonplace, that commonplace is ordinary, but that commonplace needs to be common. Land is different from the worldly secular things, or is your life inside? Does your life belong inside? I think you're right. Not everybody can live in there. Who's going to live in there? Those whose ordinary life is even the ordinary life is included in the holiness. Does that make sense to you? Those whose ordinary things do not belong, are not secular. In other words, for you, ordinary means worshiping of God. That's your ordinary life. Living a life that is set apart from sinful world, that should be the ordinary life that we live. So must not life where ordinary things are still, even the ordinary things are not affected or stained by sin, but rather become a sacrifice that is acceptable to God. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Therefore, I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. Sanctuary is in the middle of all things. See, this shows us, I'm going to end with this. This shows us, here, this is the ordinary, right? This is ordinary. And this is a city where people have to live, right? Where we have to live in. And even that has to be holy. Not anybody can live in there. But even if you live like that, you're not in the sanctuary yet. You're not in the temple yet. Okay? So can you think about how many layers of walls you have to pass through to get to the temple? How many tests we have to pass through to be in there? We're living out here right now, I think. At least I am. But to live in here. And this holy city, this is the last verse in Ezekiel. Chapter 48, verse 35. This holy city is called Jehovah Shammah. It's not the name of the temple. It's this city called Jehovah Shammah. And Jehovah Shammah means the Lord is there. The Lord is there. So not all the people can live in here, right? Who's going to live in there? Those in whose life is the Lord. Okay? The Lord, can you say the Lord is there about you, your life, every moment of the life, every moment of your walk? Then you're in Jehovah Shammah. Then you're in that holy city. And it's those who are in the holy city that will go into that temple. Okay? Let us live adjacent to, right below the temple, so that the temple is where the Lord is. And Jehovah Shammah, this holy city, Jehovah Shammah is the name of the holy city. And so if we become where we dwell together, I pray that Singapore will become Jehovah Shammah.